This is VRoc. 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 Chops. This is VRoc. Chops.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a long time. Been a very long time. Had a lot of stuff to happen in between, but we back. We're gonna do these rankings and reviews to why we got to these rankings. But let me start out with my people, my committee, Mr. Larry on the Trice, brother Paul Woods, and Shamar Moore. Nico Shoulders on this thing, man. Shout out to my guys. All right, bro. Let's jump right into this jump, man. Who gonna start with us?
All right, I'll go ahead and start it up. All right, so basically, we're doing a recap of what we did. Something happened with the audio of our video. So basically, we're gonna hit some points. I guess this is the big talk of the PC town right now. So basically, we're gonna explain some of this stuff. So a lot of naysayers or a lot of
I have to exclude myself from voting because I have a section in the in the running. So
So Vince only came in around like towards the end.
Right.
So he didn't have any say so over the 10. All right. So first and foremost, this has nothing to do with battles or battle wins or anything like that. All right. This has nothing to do with, all right. So if we watch the video of a battle, we watch that line for what that line is, not for how. So let's just example, Jackson State versus Dega. We did not go off of who we think won or anything like that. Honestly, half of y'all barely picked the winner, and it was a lot of back and forth in the PC already about that. At the end of the day, we couldn't go off that because at the end of the day, people say people bias with everything. So what we did is we strictly went off of what we seen from that line, all right, regardless of what the video is. All right. And so
Trice also,
y'all
didn't go by history.
Yeah. So we did not, that's one thing that we didn't want to do. So we didn't go off of history. Like we didn't go off of last year, we didn't go off the year before, anything like that. Everything from week 1 till now is valid. All right. We did not go off of what somebody looked like or pre-pandemic. Like we understand everybody, dealing with different situations with the pandemic and everything and coming back. All right. So also wanted, we didn't trash anybody. Nobody got trashed or anything. Like I said, we all respect every line, every HBCU and what they do and everything else. So our criteria was cleanliness, basically you being clean, and this off the videos that we seen. Updated material, if you got new material out there or not. Like I said, I know a lot of people is heavily basing updated material to see if somebody could be on there. Just because you got new material doesn't mean that it made the cut or it was good enough or anything like that. Not saying that somebody was playing something, slow, or somebody was playing something, exciting. All right. If you got updated material, it was something for us to hear on where you're going this year. All right. And then also uniformity, making sure everybody look alike and everything like that. I know we got a lot of young cats. We got a lot of people, that either crabbed last year and didn't really get to do anything. So basically they're like a second year, first time and everything like that. And so working in, so uniformity is real big with us, with that. So those are the 3 criteria. All right. So.
Hey, Trice, also, we remember you only could use what you had access to.
Yes.
These picks.
So these videos that we seen, majority were in the PC. All right. And then we took it upon ourselves because this was the first list. We took it upon ourselves in our group chat to go to YouTube and send each other videos. All right. So we took this kind of like a fantasy football situation. So we had to go and we were sending each other videos and we were watching videos. All right. So this when we decided to do it, we decided to do it that day until we found out the amount of videos that we had to watch of every line. So if I'm just looking at my list right now, that's about 30 lines. All right, that's about 30 drum lines. And then you have to pick a top 10, and we gave some honorable mentions. All right. So the first thing that we had to do is
video.
yeah. So the first thing we had to do is just really do the chopping block of the people that hasn't been seen enough. All right. And so because of all of us are in the PC, that was our first place of going. And then if we couldn't find anything on YouTube, then we just had to sit them to the side. So we started with our list of our no's and everything like that. And one of our known biggest heavy hitters was BCU. And that was the first line who we talked about. And it was like we didn't see, wasn't nobody posting. We already know in the PC, BCU people, except the old heads and alumni that we all mess with, Jeremy Foster, shout out to him and everything, all the old heads up in there. Most of the current marchers, don't really say much or don't really post much or anything like that. Also, BCU is dealing with a situation with financial and everything, so they're not really traveling. So that's no knock to them or anything like that. Surprisingly, really nobody really said anything about BCU, which that's kind of weird. Like people were arguing other lines, but nobody said BCU, and we know what BCU can do. But we're gonna keep it rolling. So we started off with a whole bunch of no's on the list, and everything like that. And then we had a maybe list, and we went through that process of who we had. And then when we got down from our no list of people that we haven't seen or didn't have an argument to have a top 10 argument, and so we set them to the side, right? This does not mean that you cannot, because Vince did decide that he wants to do a final list at the end of the year. So this does not mean that none of these lines that said no can not make the list. We recently found a BCU video that was about 6 minutes long. And
I'm watching it too, bro. My bad.
So we recently found a video from BCU that was about 6 minutes long.
Yes.
Granted, yeah, huh? So granted, we got that, we seen that video, and that was after we did the list. So for future references, when we do the final line, that's video that we can use from what we've seen. It was actually from the homecoming game. I think that was just last week. Am I right, fellas? Or this past week?
Yeah, it wasn't even.
Because the video said 3 days ago. Yeah, so it had to be from this past weekend, from the homecoming, and somebody recorded it. All right. So after that, we said who our maybes was and everything like that, and then we kind of went off of our list. All right. After we watched the videos and we made a list and everything like that of some people that can make the argument, some people that are maybes, and some people that are no's. All right. And then we went through that process. Right. So we left alone. Like I say, a lot of people are going off of what we know of certain lines. We know certain lines, because of situations and everything like that. People feel like they're already goated in every conversation. We're not talking about that. We're talking about from week 1 until now. All right. So if you had a rough start, then that was duly noted. If you had a great start, then that was duly noted. Right? We're not going off of, man, and we can, because the biggest talk of the time been VSU. All right, man. We know,
they came down to the last word.
Yeah. That was the last name that we kept hearing, and I know going back and forth about Edward Waters College and everything like that. And like I said, we took into consideration with all those, and you got to understand, when you got 30 names, all right, it can't be off of, man, they doing something. That's fine. All right. But then you got to listen to 29 other drum lines, and then you got to come to a conclusion. So are they doing enough? And that's the thing. And And like I said, we're not bashing any of these lines. We didn't say nothing bad about any of them. All right. And I know out of the four of us, we cool with, I would say about 99% of these lines, either directors, players. We done sent kids to some of these schools and everything like that. So, you know, it's no ill will or anything like that. If anything, we're hoping to start pushing more light into getting your section out there. So the moral of the story is post more of your section videos. If you're at a football game and you don't have Killer Kev out there, you don't have your media team, Showtime Mag, Marching Network, if you don't have any of these big name video people out there, record your own section, post it in the PC. That is the easiest process for us. All right. You got to understand that. It's just like football games. All right. In every region, you don't get every football game.
Right.
So you either got to go watch the stats or go watch Skip and Shannon talk about it, or you know, go do something like that. So, you know, the moral of the story is like post your sections. There's been a lot of people that's been posting their sections that we've seen that, you know, reap the benefits of that situation because we got to see the progress of these lines. And that's typically what the PC was made for. Am I correct? Am I right, fellas? Because we've been in there 5 years plus.
Right.
So that originally was what the PC was about, especially in its heydays with Ike and everything. All right, it was about press and record and showing your line or showing your personal. All right. Also, we're not going off of if somebody on your line is cold or anything like that. We're talking about sections. All right, we're not going off of snare solos. We're not going. That's another thing. We're not going off of snare solos. All right, we're not going off of, you know, everything. Now we mentioned that some of these sections were coming up, but that did not do anything with the judging or placement or anything like that. Like if somebody had cold tenors, we was like, well, we got to put them on there. All right, because honestly, Jackson State is number 2. And all I've heard this year is Jackson State tenor drummers are not, you know, not the tenor drum line that we know this year.
Not the
All right.
yeah.
So it's not the standard of what we know that Jackson State tenor drum is on. So we didn't go off that, because if that was the case, then everybody, well, they tenor drum, we're not going off that. We're going off the whole line and the whole presentation of the line. We're getting back to drum line presentation, not the individual goals and medals and awards and everything like that. All right. And so that was the whole process of what we did. And it took about 2 hours. So Paul had his list, I had my list, Miko had his list, and then it came down to voting. So it came down to a situation of if Paul felt like somebody was number 3, Miko felt like his number 3, and then I had a number 3, and in many cases, all of us didn't have the same name. So it came down to a situation of, okay, let's take these 3 names and let's judge it off that to who our number 3 is. So if you feel like you got slighted, it came off of a what somebody else did or what somebody else did better, just in that junction of the voting. So it's 3 of us, so it's 2-1. So if Paul and Miko said, you know, I think that line is better than that line, then regardless if I thought that line is, you know, it's just out of respect. So it is what it is. And like I said, the more video that we get, the more video that we see in the PC, the more that we can definitely judge, and the more, I mean, it can be better for everybody. Like I said, I personally talked to a lot of these directors, percussion instructors, even Vince, a lot of people, you know, that I talk to and want personal feedback because they, you know, because I'm willing to give it to them and everything like that. And that's what we're doing on the drumline scene, getting back to, you know, basically making sure everybody is good. So I don't really think nobody's having a bad year, even down to small names like Morehouse. All right, we've seen a battle between Morehouse. Morehouse is on the come up. I know one of my box brothers is over their line. Who else? FAMU was on the come up as well. We talked about them. We definitely talked about SU. SU was one of our kind of one of our last of the no's in that no section of, you know, argument All right, but they definitely coming up. Shout out to Verbin over there, putting in that work. Who else we talked about? We talked about Fort Valley. Shout out Jeff. We talked about Fort Valley, and we talked about the progress and everything and the battles that we've seen with them, and just the material. And we all talked to probably, I think, well, most of us probably talked to Jeff personally, and gave him some words of encouragement and everything for the line. Like I say, but Fort Valley's on the come up, so best believe everything that's going through this year. If they do what they're supposed to do, they might make the list next year. And you can't be. And what you got to understand is you can't be mad at that. That's called getting better. And if you have an issue with somebody getting better than the line that you love, then you in the wrong field, because that's what music is.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Paul, what you got?
I know, I mean, pretty much a lot of it was covered, the important stuff, especially. But I think that's really just the most important thing, is just explaining the criteria, the things that we all took in from our different backgrounds and what we was able to, pay attention to, and then just come together as a vote. Like you said, everybody's list looking different, but hey, it is what it is. It was something else. I remember shortly. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty much summed up. If that's the case, we can make some more lists. We can get somebody else. Hopefully this encourage some other folks to, hey, y'all make a list. Because everybody's list always gonna look different. And
yeah, every single list is going to look different. And I'm willing to put money down that if somebody can make a list and they can get majority of the PC to be like, I agree.
It's all good.
Hey,
and check this. And next year when we do it, or if anyone does it, it's gonna look completely different.
It's gonna look completely different. The same people are gonna be like, oh, y'all crazy.
Yeah. And look, and then I'm also say this wasn't a conference picking. It wasn't about a SWAC, SEAC, or none of that stuff. Like I say, Paul, Larry, all those guys got real, high influence and regard for the MEAC, quote unquote style of playing. So it had nothing to do with, it's a SWAC thing or none of that stuff. Because I know, just listening to them talk, I know those guys, they took everything out of the equation. I know, like, even with Paul, one of his emphasis was like attacking the drum. You could kind of speak on that, Paul, because that's kind of went into some of your voting, like how the section approached playing the drum, attacking the drum, and that kind of had a little weight on what your decision was.
Yeah. Now the good thing about this type of sound that I hear, it's no specific conference that does it, but it's almost like the tuning is not carrying the actual section itself. So then it goes into, as soon as the cadence starts, and the tuning is, and what I mean by, let me be more direct with it. It's almost like the snares, the tension in them doesn't match what's coming out the basses. 9 times out of 10 is going to be a tunnel sound. And so it's almost like those attacks that come and you're waiting for, not loud, but like a solid, confident sound, especially on accents. And we throw this word around real loosely here, 30. Everybody's going to be 30, that happens. It just depends on what the time is. Now, also, I'll take this into a huge consideration. We all know that watching clips and being in person is 2 total different things, because I've seen it before. I've been somewhere and seen it with the naked eye, but then I've actually watched it on YouTube now, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I got that experience. So we all know acoustics does play in the sound. So it might be a great looking drum line, but it sounds bad on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So that could have been a factor with a lot of videos that we was watching. So yeah, but it's just the sound. Sometimes it doesn't accompany the whole section, and it's also, me personally, I was looking at a lot more than just some daggone snare and cymbals, because what broke a lot of drum lines from being on a certain position is, okay, well, yeah, you got them tonals back there. Why ain't y'all running them? You doing the bare minimum. I thought y'all was about to go in. What happened? And then, you know, sometimes it may be the size of the section that kind of helps. If you're too large, that might, you know, expose some dirt. So I know me personally, that's what I was looking at. But yeah, that sound is just, it's real unbalanced. Maybe the way that it's tuned, not how you tune it, not your, don't change your tuning, but I'm just saying sometimes the way the tuning of some drums is, the way that it's played out in the cadence, maybe it's the tempo, I don't know, it's just, sometimes it's unbalanced. And that's no particular conference, that's everywhere.
As a drum line, you got to make sure, and you got to make sure that every sound that is coming out of your drums is blending. All right. I mean, this is just like a chord. You can smash your hand down on the piano, and some of those notes won't come through because certain notes within that chord or what it's trying to form will be heard. All right. And like Paul said, I'm not telling you how to tune your drum line, because at the end of the day, that's what you get paid for. But I know a lot of drum lines that got instructors and they know that when they're practicing and they're standing to the side or standing far away, like they're listening for stuff and what comes through. And like even on our criteria list, each one of us picked one. So that's why Paul was talking about what he was talking about. He picked uniformity. And that's what he was talking about the tuning and what it sounds like as a whole section. All right. It's not about, you know, man, them snare drums sound good, but then the tenor drums is just low, and it's not flowing with the section, you know. Also, to piggyback on some of the stuff. So Miko said cleanliness, I said updated material, Paul said uniformity. All right, so updated material doesn't always mean something new. All right. It could be majority of the time, but it could be something that we just haven't seen. All right. I mean, we don't, unless, like he said, unless you go to the game, that's the only way that you're going to be able to see everything that they're doing. And out of us 4 people, I know we're not going to the 30 schools games. I mean, whatever we see is what we get. All right. And that's just what we're happy for. So, you know, some of the stuff that we may hear, we probably never heard it because we probably I've never been to an Edward Waters College football game. Never. All right. So some of the material that they're playing, it might be 3 years old, but it might be new to me. But I'm not saying it's updated. But what I'm saying is, you know, for me to finally hear them, all right, that just goes to show that promoting and pushing your line, we'll be able to hear that material and see that. And so we can go stand for them. So yeah. Go ahead, Miko.
Miko, what you got?
I feel like a lot of what I was looking at was risk management, man. Like what type of risk are y'all willing to take as collegiate lines with your material? Not, you know, not on the playing it safe side to, I don't know, ensure that you're clean, but like actually like trying something you know, not even outside of the norm, but pushing yourself, pushing the envelope, you know. And you know, that's where I'm coming from with it. I've been telling people all day, like tighten up, like push the envelope. Like we want to see, like I personally want to see more from every line on that list, to be honest. From top to bottom, like I expect more from all of those lines, and the lines that aren't on there. There are lines that aren't on there that aren't on there that should be on there. You know what I'm saying? We said that the other day, and we're saying it again right now. Like
and vice versa. There's some that's on there
right
that
shouldn't
you
be on
know
there.
that shouldn't be on there. But you know that came down to, you know,
Selection, process of
to
elimination,
the process
voting.
of elimination. Exactly.
So you know, some of y'all, man, it's okay. You know, it's all good, man. This ain't the final list. So, like I said, push the envelope. Give us more. Give yourself more. Give yourself the opportunity to try something and be clean. I'll tell you right now, I saw a lick from a certain section, and that's the things that they were playing ain't easy at all, and it was squeaky clean. And I expect that from when you got 4 snare drummers, 4 quint players, whatever, 6 bass drummers, however many you got, I don't care. Try it. Work together, be clean. That's what I want to see. Man.
I noticed Alabama A&M dropped a video today. I
I
don't
hated that video.
know. But look, the fact that they still putting stuff out. I think was it their homecoming something or something? I don't know. But I know that I saw it today. But it's like you can do stuff like that, man, just to keep yourself, relevant, keep you fresh, keep you rolling, keep your name out there. Like it's kind of like what we had to do at Kahoma, last year for sure. We didn't get to do much because of COVID, so we just did the little showcase thing. So to try to keep your name relevant and all that stuff. So just do little stuff like that too. Hey, let's do this. Let's go down the list of all the schools and say why those schools didn't make the list and what you're looking for that particular school.
So the no list.
Yeah, so I start out. I go with Morehouse because that's the letter I see in my face right now. So let's why Morehouse on the no list.
Yeah, it wasn't on my list.
Yeah, Morehouse wasn't on my list, but I seen the battle from them. Who did they battle? What line was that? Morehouse battled somebody. The Capitals had a game. Morehouse battled. I'm trying to remember. But Morehouse battled somebody, and basically I can see the progress, right? And so we gotta take into consideration that progress. Because you feel like you're making progress doesn't mean that you're there yet. All right. That's just like with anything. When you're making progress at something doesn't mean that you're there yet to even be, accounted for being, in that place and time. So, especially Morehouse just got a new instructor, like I said. So they just got a new instructor this year. So now we're dealing with the situation of, and then y'all got to understand with folks, when drumlines get new instruction, new things go into it. All right. Their instructor wants to try out new things. They want to change up new stuff and everything like that. So things may be different. So the line that you know of might not be the same that year. So it doesn't mean that they fall off. It means that, that instructor is trying to reconstruct something to where they feel can take it to the next level. And that doesn't always go in the first year, the first time you get there, and then it flows off. I can use Lane as an example, since Vince is with Lane. The first year that Lane came out, they were hungry, but we definitely wouldn't have thrown them on the top 10 list, right, just because they were hungry, just because, we've seen the progress, just because, certain people that went there. Yeah. If this was that first year, we wouldn't have thrown them on the list. It wouldn't have been like, well, they hungry. That doesn't matter.
And to some people, that should be common sense. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you can tell anybody in the world, anybody's list is going to be different. And the only people that really had something to obviously say about it was either an alum of their school or they weren't in that conference and they had an issue with the SWAC. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, it's going to be 10,000 lists. Like, don't forget, you're not getting a scholarship for this. It's purely just the judgment and a simple opinion that I can guarantee anybody else's opinion will ever have. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Totally different. And if we want to get on conferences, if a guy from the MEAC or the SEAC or CIAA, if they made their list, and then it looked totally different, because it'll look like, well, and then we get into the excuses of, man, they don't really be playing nothing, or we play something, or they don't got no tonals, but what about their bass drum? All right, so you got to understand, we eliminated everything. We eliminated all of that. We didn't care if you played tonals. All right, we didn't care if you played bass drum. We didn't care if you had leg tenors. We didn't care if you had chest tenors. All right, we talked about individual sections, that ones that were coming up. I know for a fact we talked about Alabama and them. Shouts out to their tenor drum section. because they did change from leg tenors. So we gave them appreciation from, you know, changing that aspect and kept it going, because a lot of y'all bashed them.
And they tuning. They definitely changed their tune.
Exactly. And they tuning, how they tuning for them to have 4 and for their other drum line to be as big as they are. And like Paul was saying, like, you know, the other part of the drum line is bigger than that tenor drum section, but it still fit because the tuning was right. And so we gave that shout out. Now, before y'all get in y'all feelings, that's not why they made the list. You can't just, well, oh, they like their tenor drum section, so that's what. No, we eliminated all of that. We eliminated that. We eliminated that. We didn't say, well, Norfolk snare drums, you know, always pissy clean. We didn't go over that, because we all know that we watched the battle and that wasn't the situation. All right. Also, one bad performance does not mean that you cannot make the list. All right. One bad performance. All right. So the thing about it is, and since I already said Norfolk, let me just say this. So because of all the video that we have seen of Norfolk, and then we did see that video where it was some dirt, and it was some noticeable dirt. Like, it wasn't no just ticks. So there's a difference between ticks and dirt. All right. Ticks is when somebody, like, you know, make a mistake and it's like, all right, get back on it. And dirt is just when, you know, it's just not there. And it's like, hey, you need to tighten that up, like Miko been saying. All right. And so that situation of, you know, typically we already know what Norfolk is about, but we wasn't trying to go off of that. We were trying to go off of what we seen and from what we heard. A lot of people been saying Norfolk got a young line and everything like that. So we took into consideration with that, and it was like, okay, they got a young line and everything like that. All right, but they still working, they still playing, they still doing everything like that. So that they're not their top tier Norfolk self, but they're still bringing that work. And so that's why they were lower on the list. All right. No name on this list has a guaranteed spot to where you can say that they better than the drum line. Because if we put that drum line in front of that other drum line and they end up being dirty, then where does your opinion, where does your comment go with that? So we took into consideration with all that stuff that we're talking about. I know Vince said Morehouse. I'll go to the next drum line, South Carolina State. You know, if any old heads like us, we talk about the Tim eras, we talk about, you know, when Clyde was there and everything like that. Like, a lot of folks dig South Carolina State. Shout out to Lace when she was there, Garrett when he was there, and they were running stuff. Like, South Carolina State was giving NCAT, you know, a run for their money them couple of years and everything like that. It was back and forth. This year we haven't seen anything, and we already know from what we seen. I think that was last year when they had that mini line and they were rebuilding. So, you know, we got to take that into consideration. Like, maybe they're not showing themselves because it's still rebuilding, and that's fine. And like I said, we can't be mad at that. We're not going, you know, we're not going to bash them about it or anything like that. I hope them guys out there working, and I hope they getting their section back right. Because, I mean, shoot, they was definitely, if we had to go off of pastime, South Carolina State definitely, off of all-time list, South Carolina State is definitely top 10.
Fam.
I'll let Paul talk about fam.
Come back, Drum Prophet.
Nah, that's pretty much yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, any school can be on any type of list. Like I said, it's just as simple as strategically noticing certain schools and, you know, certain things of that nature. Matter of fact, the first thing that we did talk about, in fact, was the lines that we feel like just personally has been making the come up over the last few years. We didn't even put a number to it. You know, we just said, hey, just in general. Yeah. And, you know, and I was like, you know, one of the first things that we was talking about, because everyone pays attention to different regions of the different ways in conference and everything of how people play. So we're able to bring people in. Mine was Lincoln University in Missouri. A lot of people don't really, you know, pay a lot of attention to them because they are in a different conference where they don't see a lot of HBCUs, just like a lot of other HBCUs. So, you know, it's just really about our knowledge, who we know, things of that nature. So
Kentucky State, we talked about them too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. You
Okay.
know, and even though that's somewhere where I went, I remember they section. I love it. They wasn't on my top 10 list. It wasn't about favorites. It wasn't about me coming in here and putting them on, even though a lot of people would do that. who would you blame? Why wouldn't you put your own line down? Duh. But it's just that, knowing about people outside of the region, because it's a lot of states who um like they play their way. And what I mean by that is, and this is a good thing, I'm just gonna name a few schools. Florida A&M, Southern, Bethune-Cookman, PV, and Texas Southern. And I'll stop right there. I can honestly say no one imitates their style. Think about it. Other schools, and we can get into so many other schools are imitating certain styles in many conferences. But that's just a few. Like I can honestly say, like Norfolk and South Carolina State, they're another one. Like when you think of them, you think of them. And that's a good thing. So, it's just personality.
Bethune.
You said Bethune.
Yeah, I
You
said
definitely said
Cook.
okay.
And there's many more. It's just to name a few, just because, like I said, people can't argue that. Ain't nobody like the S, bro. It's the S.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And it's them. Regardless if people like it, know it, or get into it, it's them. And they gonna love it to the day they damn die. You feel me?
Hey, we shouted out El Water too.
Yeah.
We gave Nick, they doing, like I said, he dropping videos and they doing his thing. We definitely gave them a shout out. We see them working and we see them coming for sure.
Like I said, we didn't except for like certain lines that we've not seen an ounce of anything. Like I'll go down the list. I don't think I've seen nothing from Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm just going off of, y'all got to understand. I'm not going off of YouTube and searching Savannah State drumline if it ain't popping up in the if it's not popping up in the PC.
Is Savannah the line that battled Morehouse?
Was that Savannah? I don't know. It still ain't came to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my bad, never mind.
No, you good, bro. I might have to look it up too.
Um,
Hey, one school I really like is your school, Trice, Prairie View. I ain't seen no. I saw. I think I just saw some on them, and I think it was a song. Them playing a song. Like Prairie View, normally, you know what I'm saying. I kind of hold them and NCAT kind of that same regards. Not not just just how I look at the two schools. They kind of in the same regard. But I normally, you normally hear from PV, and I didn't hear anything from them folks this year.
yeah, I think PV had Labor Day Classic. PV had Labor Day Classic. They had the Graham game, and I want to say it was probably they just had Southern.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just had Southern, but we didn't see any. It wasn't no drumline clips from
Mhm.
Southern. So
I
so
saw
basic.
I saw
Yeah. So
twice. When we played them our first game, and they came to Memphis. They came to Whitehaven. So yeah.
Central State University, haven't heard from them. Morgan State. We
We had
definitely
Hampton and Howard.
yeah, we definitely talked about the Hampton and Howard battle. We definitely gave big ups to Ralph Nader putting it down out there with Hampton. That's another situation of Hampton definitely checks the box for new material because they have a new instructor. But as just from the battle alone, and we're not going off of who we think won or not, Hampton has some dirty spots, but that's because they're trying to implement, new uniformity, new material, and and trying to get that together. So, like I said, the first year for a new regime is never gonna go. All right. So we can expect the Lakers to not be in the finals. But I mean, we ain't gotta go there.
Hey man, chill out, bro. We ain't talk about that, bud.
Wow, bro.
Alcorn.
Wow.
You saw him try to sneak it in there. Hey, all don't do that, man. You know, somebody said we ain't talk about drones, Demetrius. Alcorn, bro. What we
Yeah,
think?
we talked about. Let's talk about the two Mississippi schools. Shout out to Danny. Um, we talked about Mississippi Valley State, and we talked about how how Mississippi Valley was in the past years because they had the two heavy hitters. They had Danny, and they had what's your
Justin
boy name?
Davis, man.
Justin. Yeah, Justin.
Young
And
goat.
we were talking about how now that Danny is not playing anymore, now he's an instructor. Like now he's going into that new light of trying to take it to the identity to where he wants the line to look, right? On an instructor level, not on the player level. All right. That's two different things. And a lot of people that's commenting don't understand that situation of what you want from your line as a player because you're on the line playing. And then when you get off the line and then you see the hands that you got, and you have to make sure that the hands that you got can either play it and can play it clean. So that's a different situation. So we said shout out to Danny with Mississippi Valley State. Shout out to Alcorn because Ryan over there with their drum line. And like I said, I mean, we gave out it was 2 hours and we gave out a lot of props to all the people that we know, all the people that we mess with and everything like that. Like I said, even from the people that we haven't seen, we can't talk ill will on Central State because there's nothing that we can say ill will about them. We just don't see them.
Right.
So it is about
And
that.
that's the thing, on my end. I seen it was a lot of schools you named. I seen them. It's all I'm saying. They're not saying they're not buns. It just wasn't on the top 10 that I made in my head.
Benedict, we known Benedict as a striving section these past years. Shout out to Tariq.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, Tariq still up there. I think Tariq is still up there. Shouts out to Tariq and everything like that. But Benedict has been, from what I've seen, been a little quiet this year. That's not typically what we known of Benedict. Benedict, especially since Tariq has been up there and has taken over, you always gonna get a couple of clips from Benedict. Always, either they battling somebody or you gonna get some game clips or something like that. So I mean, most of these lines, all we saying is post your stuff, man.
Hey, I also said too, that's what I was gonna say earlier. Most of these lines, along with the band, weren't able to travel. The football team may have still win, but the band didn't get to go for whatever reason. Of course, COVID, prices, anything, budget. And so now I know that's a lot of like empty space for them not to get footage unless they're doing some type of like parade, pep rally, side performances, something like that. Definitely the ones who has media teams, obviously theirs is going to surface around a little more.
Yeah. But some of the videos that we did see were not from media teams. Like the Cold Steel video that we seen, the BCU video that we seen, like the BCU video that we seen is from their homecoming. Wasn't nobody there but them. And it was 6-7 minutes of them just, playing some stuff and everything like that. We need that. Like we need all that.
Hey, Miles, let's give Miles some.
Oh yeah, shout out to Miles. Who over there, Miles? Hey, Carlisle. One hand. I got. Yeah, shout out to Carlisle over there, Miles. That was a section we did talk about.
Y'all dodged us though, Miles. I'm gonna talk. Y'all dodged us. It's cool.
So yeah, we talked about Miles and definitely they on the come up. If we had to do probably like a top 20, Miles would definitely be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Most definitely be in that conversation. Because Miles, and see, that's the crazy thing. Miles has the videos to back their stuff up. See, that's the thing. Miles has their videos to back a lot of their stuff up. All right. So definitely, if our list was longer, definitely Miles would be in that situation.
Hey, I want to shout out SU one more game, man, because they were very active at one point during the season. Putting out stuff, going, having some good exchanges with some schools and stuff. So definitely want to shout them out. Shout out to everybody for sure. So let's let's go to this top 10, man. How did we get to this spot here? So let's start it. Well, y'all want to start from 1 or to 10? 10.
We can start from we can start from 1 because 10 got iffy down there.
Yeah, y'all go
Especially with
ahead.
the honorable mentions.
Go, Miko. I'm gonna let you start doing on Miko with the 1.
I think everybody is number 1.
So first they was like, well, we don't buy them back. And I was like, thanks, y'all told me y'all first. When I first bought it, they was like, oh, we buy back.
They nice, man. I mean,
so I talked to
I think
he said, just stop
they're arguably the best line right now. They clean.
And then one day I got a letter from the I guess
take a risk, like I said.
saying, hey, you know, your
Incat is my number
time
1.
share has been added back to the pool of eligible.
Want to add to that, Paul? Miko over there, bar hopping.
What was the I had stepped up.
How did we conclude number 1 to be number 1?
I think that was the one. It was just like it was just a simple 2 to 3.
Yeah, that was a vote.
Yeah, it was just a simple, like, you know, we both had the same ones. And that's pretty much as it got down to, honestly, I'd say 7 on down to 1. That's almost kind of like how it got. A few times in between we had to, you know, double back. But you know what I mean? It was pretty much almost the same arrangement. Also, something I noticed while we were voting, it was so you only see the final result, but you don't see the candidates for that place or that, you know, as we were going down. I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody to, you know that, but like, you know, that's what we did was just like, okay, you know, start from the number 10, and that's what we did. We went from 10 on down. But
this was not a roll. This was not a roll of the dice, and it was just a name. Like when we said a number, it was what you got, what you got, what you got. All right. Now what do we see from them? What do we see from them? All right. All right. So we got 3 names. All right. All right. So if we out of them 3 names, who do we think, you know, is the least of this argument? All right. Let's vote on that. Okay. And now we got the top 2 names of that argument. All right. So who we going with that top argument from what they're doing this year? All right. We're not going off of their name. All right. We're not going off of their name and everything like that. And one of the big examples of that is Grambling. I know everybody in their feelings about Grambling, and you can't be in your feelings about Grambling. All right. Let's stop with the lies on the material and everything like that. Nobody has a secret sauce to rudiments to where you're playing, like Miko said, nobody's playing that much of risky stuff to where you can go towards another line and say that y'all playing something that's not there. Because I mean, I can literally break down some of the stuff that I've seen and say, well, that's not really hard either. All right. When you're playing just a tap roll and it's clean, but you're not, like Miko said, you're not risking it. All right. If your only risk it and biscuit is tap rolls and diddles, then you know, and you just want to keep it safe, then that's fine. We took that in consideration. All right. And that goes along with updated material. Like, what are you really risking it out there? Are you really trying to risk it, you know, making sure that your kid's hands is going to get better? All right. We can tap roll all day and everything like that. We can play flam drag grid. But I mean, what are we throwing out there as a risk? All right. And so NCAT came down to the situation of, you know, just off. And then I know a lot of people was talking about, well, I ain't seen no videos. Well, I guess your fault. Like I said, make your line for the videos that you've seen. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a totally different video. And the videos that we've seen of NCAT, also warranted. NCAT is no longer in the MEAC. NCAT is no longer in the SWAC. All right, NCAT is no longer. NCAT and Tennessee State are what and what with their conferences. All right, so once they get done with a certain amount of games, that's it. Yeah, it's over with. I mean, we know from Tennessee State every year. Once we see Southern Heritage Classics, all right, Tennessee State, I see y'all at a Battle of the Bands or something like that. All right. And that's just the situation. That's where it goes into, you know, when y'all go to these games. What's up?
Hey, I looked at y'all schedule. Y'all ain't got nobody else for the rest of the season, Virginia State. I'm going to say it like this. somebody need to come see y'all. Y'all need to go see somebody. How about that y'all see Jackson? I think y'all need to get in front of Jackson so I can really see what y'all gonna do. Because y'all talking a lot about this whole structural deal. You guys are claiming that I don't know percussion. Hey, I want to see y'all. I want to see what you're gonna do in front of Jackson State. I saw what you did in front of Lane. That first set was amazing. That was a few years ago. I want to see y'all right now. I want to see what the response is going to be. And I want to see what you're going to like against the school like that. That's how that
So yeah, that was his shout out to Virginia State.
I like y'all.
Yeah, shout out to Virginia State. Shout out to Elijah. Like
Yeah,
clean.
Elijah, my boy. Like I said, we talk when we find the time and everything like that. Like I say, if we want to be honest, I voted for Virginia State to be high on the line. But then, because of the 2-3, they got knocked down. And so that's not a situation though. Because if I would have said Virginia State was 6 and then our vote didn't go right there, then we gotta shoot them down to 7. All right. And then it keeps going like that. Also, y'all gotta stop thinking that just because somebody marched somewhere that they don't know nothing else. All right. Y'all gotta stop thinking that just because I marched at PV, then I can't judge NCAT or I can't judge Norfolk, anything like that. Honestly, I got my degree in this, so honestly, I can judge anything that's getting tapped on the drum.
Did he just pull a card?
Pull no card. It's just, but
credentials, bro.
It's not to sound big headed, but y'all gotta stop acting like we can't read or we can't see what somebody's playing. I can tell when somebody's playing just diddles or rolls, or I can tell when somebody played a cadence, or we call it bumping, and then the whole cadence was you just playing a groove part. All right, I know the difference. It's a difference when you bumping and you actually throwing some heat in there, and it's a difference when you bumping and you just grooving. We know the difference.
Song part.
Right? Yeah, we know the difference.
Let's go to number 2, man. Larry, you go ahead and start it now.
So number 2 is Jackson State, and I know a lot of people was talking about the new material and everything like that. Again, that is not the whole criteria. All right. So if that's not the whole criteria, then you can't disqualify them. All right. Majority of the videos that we've seen, typically as a drum line, Jackson State is clean. We already know about them being uniform and everything like that. We give kudos to them every year about the uniformity and everything like that and the cleanliness. So that's why we took a vote. Honestly, Jackson State wasn't everybody's number 2. All right. So I don't think Jackson was Miko's number 2. So that came down to a vote. All right. So Jackson State could have been 4th. All right. So that came down to a vote and everything like that.
Hey, I think with that too, a lot of people really put way too much emphasis on the playing part and just totally forget that what you look like,
Exactly. Like they don't yeah.
Like someone capture a picture of you or something like that. You looking goofy, your stick height, your drum height. If you're gonna have on some gloves, or everybody got them on there, or if everybody got on the spats, the tuning, like before you even play, what if I'm blind? I'm sorry. What if I'm deaf? And all I can do is just see you. Do you look good? And that's what, in my many votes from a many drum lines, separates, because that goes hand in hand. You gotta look good. The cosmetic has to be there. If you're not disciplined, and we all know that this thing kind of slipped up on the discipline, because you think about whatever era you were, you're gonna say, oh no, I was the discipline. But we were very disciplined. We weren't moving that attention. And where your mug at? All of that is attention to detail. And that goes into also, because what you gonna say, man, they was raw, they sound good, but they stick heights was off. Like what? you gotta throw it in there because that's part of it. And so
is everybody attacking the drum the same way? Is everybody giving that same ism on that drum when they're playing once that cadence is tapped off. All
Man,
right. Is everybody giving that same energy? All right. Everybody knows at Jackson State, and that's not something that we're going off of pastime, but we're going off of that energy that they give. Every time something is tapped off, we're going off of that energy. And we know that Jackson State brings that energy when it comes to uniformity. They're real big on that. They're real big on clean. Did I personally hear something new from them this year? I don't think so. It might have been something or one little thing, but I don't think I heard something. But I can't disqualify them because they didn't bust out a new cadence. Also, we also got to take into the fact that some lines not gonna bust out new cadences because we all the way in the stands. What's the point? And I understand that we want to. Everybody wants new material. I have new material. If we on opposite sides of the end zones and the cameraman is on the 50 in the middle, are we really gonna get to, are we gonna take into consideration, are we gonna really get to be basically, are we gonna get to, achieve what you're trying to give us? Or take into that consideration, like this new material, like, all right, man, I see what y'all was doing, but I really can't hear it, Killer Kev right there on the 50. So, we just seeing hands and everything like that. And you got to take into consideration. And unless you was in front of somebody, and that's when your opportunity is like, all right, let's show y'all what we've been working on. All right. I got to understand, like, stand battles and face-to-face battles are totally different on what you decide to bring material-wise.
speaking on that, Whitehaven Battle of the Drummers is March 26, 2022. Just,
Yeah. Just in case anybody that don't like these lines, you could definitely, alumni, you could definitely bring your line down there. Y'all can settle, believe me, we stay out there all night. Y'all can settle every type of score that you want to with that situation. All right. I think the last one we had Lincoln come down from Missouri. The last one we had.
The rain messed that one up, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, go back to what you were saying about the attention to details and all the small stuff. I was preaching that to my little babies today while having trying, okay, COVID tackled us pretty well. And then me doing other stuff kind of slowed us up. But man, just preaching that same exact thing you just said, bro. So yeah, that is very important. Attention to detail, stick height, sounding good. And that's part of gonna get a little bit of my tricks, but like when I did shows for Whitehaven, I gotta tell people, I tell my guy, like, I create shows to appeal to two different things. Like, if somebody can't see us, but they hear us, they know we sound good. If somebody really can't hear us, but they can see us, they know we look good. So you got to be able to navigate both dynamics in order to be, very effective. So yeah, you definitely right, bro. Let's move on to the Trice. Let's move on to the world fame. He gonna jump back in here in a minute. Man, Paul, take the fight. Start with Graham, man. Well, how Graham ended up in that third spot?
And I third spot, I feel like that was because and of course we already touched on this about the social media being prevalent. I've seen a lot of Gremlin videos outside of the group. I mean, we all pretty much follow a whole bunch of HBCU neutral, if not HBCU, maybe Martian High School with them or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. And they also was in band too. And so they're sharing stuff. So I've seen their videos along with some other ones, even in other places. And I actually think they sound good. They was up here in Canton, Ohio. I'm talking about like, man, like, and it's the whole section. I think it's well-rounded. I mean, we can sit up here and say certain sections you have weak points or you're dirty, but I mean, now you're talking about 100% of HBCU culture. And I mean, I don't know of a perfect drum line here, DCI or anywhere else. That's going to happen. But next, like, we know that. Let's get past that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, shoot, it was a simple vote.
Also,
it's simple as that. Like, I mean, and a lot of people say, man, they burned. Well, make sure you understand what we said. We said mid-season poll or, mid-season list. And then, like, we already, had that explained. Then maybe like I think, let me see what day. I think it was the day before. It was a video that surfaced of them on my search, but it was a while ago. So we're not, going back and making a list of, their history shows that they were a great drum line. Their history shows that they suck as a drum line. We're not going off that. We're only talking about this year from now. Just keep that in mind. Like,
And if you're saying that, Gramblin's progressing, then obviously that's what we're talking about. So they're progressing this year because Ricardo's been there longer than this year. Yeah. All right. So the first year Ricardo was there, Grambling wouldn't have probably been on this top 10 list because that was his first regime there. He's been there. I think this is his third or going on fourth. All right. And so, and like you said, and he's one to post his line because he wants his line to be seen because because of the stigma of what we already know of Grambling, you have to try to erase that. So anybody that's a smart drum instructor would be, I need to start putting out more stuff on my line that people can't talk bad about. Also, let me throw this out there because I got 3 people on here. That's Mu Phi Sigma. I got an idea. How about y'all start a Mu Phi Sigma YouTube page and post all y'all Mu Phi Sigma lines on here? That are especially if you Mu Phi Sigma, like it shouldn't be no reason why your lines is not posted on the Mu Phi Sigma, YouTube page, to where we can go there and then we can see all the lines or anything like that. That's just an idea, anything like that. But what we're trying to do is making sure that everybody's getting their opportunity to get out there so we can give everybody their credit. All right. I can't stress that we did not talk bad about not a single line. All right. Not one drum line. Like we want to give everybody their credit. We want to give everybody their just due. Because majority of these lines, we know the instructors, we know the kids, and we know some of the crazy alumni that be up in there trolling. So we want to give everybody that just due, so that we can go and don't get mad if some of these lines go up, and some of the lines that are on here don't get mad if you go down, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get complacent and say, "Oh, we made their list, so we good." No, because like I said, we got video from BCU. What was that? We got that video the night after we recorded and made the list. Yeah. And all 4 of us said, yep, they on the top 10 list for the final. And so that means that somebody dropping down. Mm-hmm. So
real talk.
So that means that somebody's dropping down. So just off of what we've seen from BCU, that means that somebody's dropping down. And it probably won't drop down to a situation of we put them in a place and then everybody dropped down like that. It might have been a situation of, I don't really think that, and I'm just using this as an example. Shout out to Swain. I don't really think Dega ended the season, like they were progressing in the beginning. So, I'm gonna probably put them all the way back at 10. All right. And I'm not saying, I'm just using them as an example. Shout out to my boys out there in Bama, Dega and everything, Swain. But it can happen like that. All right. This is not a list of where we throw a name on there and everybody go down. No, like we looking to say, man, this line, finished out the year strong. This line didn't. So we got to either bump them down or take them out. All right. So don't get mad when you like, oh, how we was third, and then all of a sudden we ain't even on the list. Did you end the season like you wanted to be third, or that you wanted to keep third? Did you end the season like that, or did you become complacent? All right. Don't take your foot off the gas until your football team end up not making it to the playoffs. All right. Keep your foot on the gas until all of a sudden, well, this is the last game. And then that's it. All right. And that's once everybody's done with their last game, then that's when we'll probably make the final list. But that's what we're going off of. Like who foot gonna be on the gas after this? And that's the thing. Like I said, like if some people say, bump that, like I'm gonna start posting videos. If Tariq say bump that, like, man, we've been working. Like Benedict, I want to show some stuff. If Demetrius came and was like, man, fam, you got some stuff, I just ain't been posting it, but here. Or, BCU, Or if Danny from Valley said, man, we got some stuff, we just ain't posted, and we watch it, and then all of a sudden we see the weeks go by, they can get thrown in there. Nobody's safe, all right. We're gonna be totally honest. Nobody's safe. We don't like nobody, and not in a negative way. We don't like nobody to where we gonna say, nah, they gotta stay. No, we want you to stay hungry. All right? It's not a situation to where nah, they gotta be on it. No, NCAT does not have to be on this list. Lane ain't gotta be on this list. Virginia State ain't gotta be on this list. Everybody that y'all complaining about, Graham don't gotta be on this list. All right. But if they want to be on this list, and if they push in that envelope, like Miko said, and they deserve to be on the list, that's their right. And that's our opinion at the end of the day, again, before everybody come on here and think that we trying to drag people along and everything like that.
Paying them. Let's go to number 4, man. How Lane get on that thing?
All right. So Lane, I think from the clips I've seen has been from some battles, and the clips I've seen have been from some live videos. All right. And so we already know that, Lane is a household name in the PC. All right. But again, we're not going off a household name from last year or the years before that when Dion was marching, all the other people. We not going off of that. We going off of what we seeing from now and everything that they're doing. All right. And even though, after pandemic, and I know with them, changing directors and Vince up there now and everything like that, it was at 1 year. Lane was probably top 3 out of all that everybody was talking about, especially because Lane sees other conferences. Lane battles other conferences, so that they have a argument for any conference. All right, for SWAC lines, for MEAC lines, for CIAA lines, they have an argument for every one of them. All right, are they as dominant as they were in their hay years? No, but from what we've seen, they still are Lane. They're still pushing that cleanliness. They're still pushing that uniformity with some of the new guys and everything like that. All right, so that's why I feel like even though Lane, we seen Lane about 2-3 years ago as a top tier number 2. All right, now it's they there, but when they get back to it, we will see if they'll get back up top, or they can potentially fall off. That'll be all Vince fault.
I'm gonna put some sauce on them, man. Yeah. All right, number 5, we got old Dega. You got this one, Paul?
Now let Migo talk about Dega.
Migo.
Dega. She said she's gonna. I ain't gonna lie, Dega was my number 2. That's all I got to say.
So just going off of that, he said that Dega was his number 2, and they ended up 5. So that should let you know how the process went. So when Miko said I got Dega number 2, and then I said a school, and then Paul said a school, then we went about like all right, let's get to this criteria. All right, who was cleaner than that line? All right, who was more uniform? Who did this? Who did that? All right, let's take a vote. Everything like that. All right. So Dega was stamped at 2 from somebody, and then they ended up at 5. Right? So I mean that's how y'all can see, all right. How the voting process went and how the process of elimination and everything like that went. Certain schools that I had was up there, came all the way down. I think I had Virginia State around like either 5 or 6, and it's Dega and TSU. And see, Dega went down all the way from Miko's 2 to number 5. So, like I say, it's even tougher when you got 3 lines. It'd have been easy if we all posted our lines and then that was it. And I'm pretty sure that'd have been it. Our lines were on majority, I would say at least about 80%. Our line pickers were totally different. All right, we're totally different. All right, but it goes to show how different it is when you try to take 3 opinions and try to make it to a criteria and then going off of voting. All right, that it's gonna end up how it's gonna end up. All right, so that's how Dega ended up at 5. They kind of went down the process of elimination and everything like that. Shout out to Dega. That's another Dega's another household PC name. Guys always posting stuff. That's one thing we're gonna know about Dega. Dega's gonna have a bunch of videos. They're gonna have a bunch of material. Swain gonna go live. They gonna have a whole bunch of stuff. And you know, it's much warranted when you have an argument because you have too much video. That's a good thing. All right. And you can never have not too much video to where you can definitely win an argument. Or shoot, man, they had 3 videos, but it was piss clean. All right, I see where you're going with it. All right, that's fine. All right, and y'all gotta understand there might be some games or there might be some days or some performances where y'all look like y'all on 100, but if you don't press the record button, how we supposed to know?
Right.
So that goes into into the consideration. If you feel like y'all about to have that type of performance, record that junk and post it so we can all appreciate it. All right, don't just sit there and be like, yeah, we top 1. Like, we don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Everybody feel like number 1. So
Yeah, everybody, you should feel like you're number 1, but at that point, shoot.
we at number 6, man. Funk Train.
Go ahead, Pat.
You said was who number 6?
Yeah, Funk Texas Southern.
Yeah, and see what's funny is I had Texas Southern. I think that was my 10. I think. And I tell a lot of people, like overall throughout the years, that's one of my more favorite drum lines to watch. This year, the material that I've seen is, I know sometimes those, and that's their thing, so they gonna do it regardless. But just, you know, in my opinion, sometimes those bass heads doesn't really support the actual quality beats that they're actually playing on the bass head. I mean, I definitely understand it in person. It sounds perfect. I've been right beside them before, damn near lost him. So it sounds great. And their tenors and the tuning of it and the snares, they sound good. So to me, sometimes it's, and maybe it's just that, you know, I'm not from Texas, so I can only speak on what I see, you know. But just sometimes I know it can cause a little bit of confusion when it comes to hearing wise. And then I do understand that a lot of recording comes at the end towards, like, you know, for those who may use the power strokes or, you know, the 1-ply or something like that, recording comes towards the end. So you get, and not to make an excuse, but you get the bad quality sound of the drum. So it's like, Dad, why don't you record for the game? Or, you know, you have to tune it often. Or, you know, and it can happen in any instance. That's why you carry a drum key. But yeah, just a few nuggets.
All right. We're gonna go to number 7. You wanna go ahead, Larry on?
All right, so Norfolk, like we said, Norfolk is a top tier school. If we're talking about goated, if we're talking about an all-time line, and we definitely talking about Norfolk being up there somewhere in the hemisphere. All right, we ain't gonna put no numbers on that, but somewhere in the hemisphere. Shout out to all my old Norfolk people, and everything like that. And like I said, just because you have one bad day does not mean that you are not, you know, doing what you have to do. Now, granted, like I said, that battle between, who was that they battled? That was Hampton. Yeah.
Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton. All right. So granted, like I said, it was some dirt flying around there and everything like that. And it's understandable, like I said. After hearing from some of the old heads about, you know, the line being young and all this other stuff, we didn't necessarily take any pity to that. I mean, everybody probably got a young line. All right, but it's just we understand. Like I said, one video, and the fact of the matter is like, you know, it was no excuses made for it. I mean, everybody has a young line and everything like that. So so it kind of bumped them down, right? It didn't knock them out the park because Norfolk is still tuning wise good, because they have no tenors, so their bass drums can really go heavy and have fun. All right. And then because they're cymbal players, all right, and everything like that, they're just a well-oiled machine. Now, the new cats that are on that line hasn't, been introduced to to the machine yet. And they're still getting to know this new process of what that machine is. And I'm pretty sure as weeks go by, if Norfolk decide to drop a video next week, I'm pretty sure it's gonna look 10 times different than what that battle did. All right. And so, we took into consideration on all that. And we seen videos where Norfolk was like, okay, like that's pretty decent. And then we seen that battle. All right. So that didn't knock them out completely, like I said. And they did what they were supposed to do. So I mean, that's why they kind of got bumped down. Right? Typically, if we were talking about 2-3 years ago, like I said, Norfolk would have been in that hemisphere of the lines that we're usually talking about. But I feel like Norfolk is a line that if they want to, they can come for that 1 or 2 spot, because that's how Norfolk is. All right, and that's just how well oiled that machine is, that they can come back in 2 to 3 games and look totally different, and we can be like, well, that video don't matter no more, because this is what they looking like now. Like they learned from that mistake, and now they're better, and we can respect that. Right. So that's why we got Norfolk at 7. And shouts out to all them cats over there, $1 Million Funk Squad.
Cool. All right, let's go to number 8, man. Paul or Miko. Yo, which one of y'all want to take this one? Number 8, Bama State. Hey, go ahead, Paul. Okay.
Who was number 8 again?
Bama State.
Yeah. And see, that's I can't, I don't remember that, but I know I don't think that was my 8. But I've always had a liking, especially for their bass and their tenors, especially because of their unique style. And that's another school to
Very
where
unique.
You know what I mean? To where that's them. Like if someone imitates them, I know exactly what they're talking about. There's no identity crisis there. Now, if they get into the argument of, within states, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's on y'all. I'm gonna hop out of that. But I'm just saying specifically that school and that style, it's very specific. You know what it is. Still rocking hard with the leg tenors, and it's developing in so many ways. And to me, snare line, they've actually really got better. I see the difficulty level has always been there. At this point in time, there is nothing that no one really can't play. It's just the fact of how you execute it. And
they got a small line, but they're not letting that hurt them, especially on the snare line, because I think the year before, I think they had about 10 or, about 10. I think they marching like 6.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a video where I think they had played something, and I seen the snare drum sitting down. But like I said, we wasn't going off a sectional stuff. Like I said, we can get down to some nitty gritty stuff of the stuff that we've been saying, because we can get down to the nitty gritty of sectional stuff on all these lines. All right, but we kept that we kept it a buck with just the section stuff. So I ain't calling you out Bama State, but I'm just showing you that we didn't really get nitty gritty on the section stuff. All right, don't be having nobody sit down in the stand in the uniform while somebody running the snare circle.
Yeah, I saw that at the game. I saw them at the Texas State game, man. They sound good. They look pretty good too. They definitely got their own identity, I must say. There's definitely some people sitting there understand. I think the snare drum a good player too. And I asked, I asked that, he ain't had it together, but I get it, So, I mean, I like Bama State. That's all I got to say.
Just some word of advice, man. If everybody can play it, then just don't play it. Like just don't play it at all. Like you go into a situation of why don't they know it? Because at the end of the fault, you can say it was their fault that they didn't learn it. It wasn't. They the student, you the teacher. So you supposed to make sure that they know it. All right. If not, then they just shouldn't be marching. All right. So definitely, check up on that Bama State. But from the recent videos, I know that was an earlier video. From the recent videos, you guys been pumping. So like Paul said, their uniformity is so unique because of their style. And I can read every section down to a book. Like their bass drummers with their kind of stiff hits, and that with their crescendos, like they play on black dots, and if they play in the low part, it's gonna be on the clear part, and I'll be like, why y'all playing on that? Why can't y'all just play low on the black dot? But that's just what they do. The tenor drummers, the death march, that it take them an hour to get into the stadiums, all that stuff that makes them unique, and which is fine and everything like that. So keep it up, Bama State. Just don't get complacent. All right. Please don't get complacent. All right. Keep pumping. All right. Even though y'all got a smaller line, I'm pretty sure that y'all got a whole bunch of new people. I think if I can remember somebody saying like the tenor drum line, like it's a bunch of new people on that line. But keep it complacent. Keep them freshmen pumping. Keep the new people pumping. And keep them going. Like, don't let that wither away.
Number 9, man. This is my first right here, man. Hey, and I said they should have been higher. Me, I wanted them higher, but gotta listen to these guys. Tennessee State, the patrol, Rat Patrol, voila. Authority.
So with Tennessee State, I'll say a little bit and then I'll let Miko go. Penn State, definitely solid. I was able, luckily because of some of the people that I know, I was able to find some video. We only get like a couple of clips of Tennessee State because of the conference that they're in, and so we know that we got the Jackson. We know that we got the Jackson State clips, but I was able to see some other clips, find some other clips, and send it to the fellas. And Tennessee, for some reason, Tennessee State ass got big for no reason. Like the pandemic did not hurt them. It damn near gave them superpowers. I don't know where they came with that many people, anything like that. But to have that many people and to keep, that uniformity down, and because Tennessee State also a bigger thing when we're talking about what Paul was pointing out on the tuning. I think we can all agree that Tennessee State tuning is pristine. All right, they got it down to a science. I love how the bass drum sounds with the fiber skin and everything like that. The only thing I would say personally, this is only my personal thing, is the tenor drums. I feel like if the tenor drums picked another note, I'm not saying to go higher or go lower, but if you picked another note, it would kind of speak out just a little bit more. And I know it's different because of some of the videos that I'll be hearing, like the tenor drums, because their drums go down and it's in the stands and then they turn a certain way. It kind of gets drowned out. But it's kind of like different stadiums and everything like that. But I would just say, like I said, that's just my only thing. They're probably not gonna do it. I'm not telling them to do it. I'm just saying, to piggyback on what Paul was saying, if I just feel like if they picked another note, that tenor drum would sing just as well as the bass drums do and the snares. And then now, because the thing about it is, Tennessee State didn't used to have quads, and now them suckers got how many they got this year, Vince? Like 15?
8.
Exactly. 8. So now they got 8 quads. So we're talking about a section that didn't have quads, and now they got 8 of them jokers. And so it's like you got loud 5 tones, and now that tenor drum is not as that tenor drum sound, it needs to get a note to where it's gonna ring between 8 of them jokers playing on quints. All right. And Tennessee State is a power school, so them quints are gonna sing. All right. So that's the only reason why I'm talking about that note, is because I know Tennessee State when they didn't have quints. All right. And now that they do have quints, and now that they're adding that extra color, all right, you gotta try to change up the color within the inside of those tones with that tenor drum. So that's just my personal take. I mean, y'all can look into it, y'all can take it, anything like that. But that's why, Miko, Paul, you got something to say about 10 State?
Nah, I don't. That they weren't on my list. I actually can appreciate their bass drum section as well, because not only do they play with a very solid and concrete sound, their form is also dope too. They're one of them schools like that. It comes with it, and they're kind of like a package. Like they're strong. Me personally, you know what I mean. Just just listening to them, it's them. They're always gonna be that way, and they're very unique too. They do things in a different way, even just from coming out of attention and holding the stick and going out or coming in. It's very unique things that they do, and they still holding on to their tradition with their leg tenors. But I mean, hey, some like some don't.
All right, we're gonna end it with number 10. Wanna start this one, Paul?
Who was number 10?
A&M, Alabama A&M.
A&M, yeah, that was
That was the nail biter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the nail biter out of 4 schools. Just in case y'all don't know, that was the nail biter. I'm looking at the list right now. Matter of fact, out of kind of 4 to 5-ish schools.
And I'm kind of thinking about like what makes them, just because someone is going through a transition through their section, whether it be changing of instrument, like it still ain't no like, nah, man, they ain't no pass, bro. You about to get this work. So it's them making the transition, which they've made for a while now, but it's still happening. And I believe they're wearing it well, and they're making it what it is. While still, I can tell when certain schools make up newer cadences, newer material, but they still adopt and keep certain flashes. Like they're one of them schools that kind of keep that in there, whether it be bass is doing a simple flash, Z's, snares, something of that nature. And they're one of them that's dominant. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm like, that's another one I don't even think I had on my list, period. I didn't even have A&M on my list, period.
I think I had A&M as a maybe.
I could be wrong. I'm sorry.
I think I had them as a maybe. Like I think I had them 10 to a maybe. So that they were in the battle with Virginia State, North Carolina Central, and 10 State. Yeah, so all of them were towards the bottom with what was going on and everything like that. And I like what I'm seeing this year from this season from Bama. All right, especially with that rivalry between them and Alabama State. With Bama State kind of being like kind of the big brothers and everything like that.
NBA TV.
So it's kind of refreshing to see them, and like Paul said, with them coming from a different, now, being an upright tenor drum section and everything like that. Like people don't understand just because you throwing a drum in your chest, like a lot of things have to change because a lot of the sound and a lot of things that, gonna have to do, the tuning definitely changes. All right. A lot of people don't know that, or probably did know, or you still don't know. But Alabama A&M had 2 different tones on their tenor drums. So when they were leg tenors, so they had a high and low tenor, what y'all call, I don't want to make the FAMU people mad, toms. All right. So they had 2 different, especially they had 2 different sounds on them. And so that can be a little different because what if they do play their old material and they don't have them 2 sounds no more? So, they got to take into consideration and the fact and everything like that. So just having to go through that change and see them. Like I said, if this was the first year that Alabama A&M went through that change and everything, they wouldn't have been on this list. And we're not crediting them from coming out the change. We're crediting them from what we see, how the change has made them. All right, they're very aggressive. All right, I know the most funniest video that I watched is Alabama A&M versus NCAT. When Buddy went out there with a solo and they told him to stop, and he was like, I was about to chop that dude up, and we all know it was about to get bad. And like that's the kind of stigma that people hold on to, and they be like, oh, Alabama A&M trash. Like, they'll go to that video and be like that, and it's like, that's not the videos that we seen this year. Like, they're aggressive. All right, they working. All right, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, and the uniformity is there. Like I say, the tenor drummers, they sound good. The tuning sound good. All right, and it blend with the section.
Yep.
That's another thing. All right, you can have some loud tenor drums and they don't blend with the section. I'm gonna throw Valley. All right, when Danny was playing, tenor drummers were damn loud. All right, and then sometimes it didn't blend with the section. All right. Now, on the contrary, Dega tenor drums are allowed, but their bass drums still hold their own weight, or their snare drums still hold their own weight. So even though their tenor drums are loud, the section still has that to balance with them. But sometimes, if you go too much, then you'll just sound like a tenor drum, bass. Kind of what's the name? Kind of how everybody be like, well, all they got is snares. And everything like that. Well, I mean, that's the front group. So, I mean, that's the first person you're going to see. So you can't just call nobody a snare drum line.
Right. Cool, man. Yeah. So, my people, man, that's the review. That's what we came up with. Well, that's what we came up with. That's what we at. That's what we got. We lost Miko because he out there in them streets. His battery died, so he couldn't finish up with us. But man, yeah, he takes. I appreciate you, Larry, bro. I appreciate you, Paul. Hopefully, this gives
no problem, brother.
For sure. Hopefully, get some clarity to some people. I know people still gonna have their displeasures. You can't please everybody, but just know that some strategic thinking and planning. Trying to say big words, man. We're planning went into trying to make these picks as very not unbiased, but as accurate as possible, man. So it's some it's just some fun and to keep us on our toes, keep us interested, keep us pushing. So, man, if you got a problem with it,
post your videos. If you got a problem with it, post more videos. I swear to God. I mean, you will reap the benefits more if you post more videos than you sitting here complaining and y'all don't post nothing.
Right.
So
man, hopefully this help us, grow this thing to something bigger, man. So that's what's up, man. I'm gonna let it go, man. I'll be forgetting how I ended. I always end with always remember the chops don't stop, man. Stop. That's been a while, man. I say that again. I always remember the chops don't stop. That's what it is.
This is VRoc Chops.